Hi friends and welcome to Book a Day for Little Learners. Today we're going to read Eric Carle's Mr. Seahorse. Friends, this book is so big. Look how big this book is. I love the illustrations for this book. Eric Carle does watercolors over tissue paper, and I just love them in this book. Eric Carle's Mr. Seahorse. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. See her big belly? That's Mr. Seahorse. It's time for me to lay my eggs, she said. Can I help? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Oh, yes, thank you, said Mrs. Seahorse. And she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. I'll take good care of our eggs, said Mr. Seahorse. I promise. So not very many fish or animals in general do that, but seahorses do. The dad takes care of the eggs. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. Friends, look at how cool this page is. It's transparent. Isn't that neat? And there they are. You can see them. Trumpet fish, so they look like the musical instrument, a trumpet. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Stickleback? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Delighted, replied Mr. Stickleback. Mrs. Stickleback, I just built a nest, and right away, Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. So like the seahorse, the stickleback fish is also taking care of the eggs. The dad is, the male is. Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea as he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Do you see the lionfish? All I feel like I can see are the eyes. Do you see the eyes right there? Wait till you see what it looks like behind the tree. Oh, look at that. That was good camouflage, wasn't it? That's a lionfish. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Tilapia? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs, and now you're taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, look at that, several leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Can you see them? I feel like I can see it a little bit right there. I feel like I can see the tail fin. Let's see. Oh, and then look at the seahorse. That's really pretty. How many leaf fish are there? 1, 2. Do you see how they look like a leaf? Why they're called leaf fish? But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Curtis? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Perfectly fine, replied Mr. Curtis. Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. You're doing a good job, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by, look at that, a stonefish hidden behind a rock. Ooh, do you see the fish? I feel like that's an eye right there. Let's check it out. Ooh, there's a lot of glare on that. Sorry, friends. Oh, look at Mr. Seahorse behind it. That's cool. There, that was his eye. His big mouth. He's interesting looking. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Pipe? Asked Mr. Seahorse. There's Mr. Pipe. Couldn't be better, replied Mr. Pipe. Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel proud of yourself, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched, and now I'm babysitting." "You are doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. He's taking care of all the little fish, all the baby fish. The time had come for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that, and at last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. See him down there? "Oh no," said Mr. Seahorse, "I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." Daddy Seahorse took care of them, and now they're ready to go out into the world, explore. Friends, what did you think about that? Beautiful illustrations, right, friends? The illustrations were terrific. This story was all about Mr. Seahorse. And Mrs. Seahorse put eggs in his belly, and then he took care of them until they were ready to hatch and come out as fish. And along the way, come out as seahorses, excuse me. And along the way, we met other fish where the dad also takes care of the eggs before they hatch. I hope you enjoyed this story. We have a series of books by Eric Carle if you'd like to check out that playlist. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up like button, and I will see you tomorrow for our next story. Until then.